All right. So, I mean, St. Louis is baseball, baseball, baseball. It's a huge part. So, I mean, you tell me, you're involved, you're watching it every day. The lockout deal, I mean, are they going to, spring training going to happen? Are they going to start on time? Like, what's your take on this?
So I just think it's so embarrassing for a sport that I
Yeah.
love. I love baseball more than any other sport. And yet
Yeah.
still they don't realize that look, your audience is old folks. And you already weren't doing a good job of grabbing the young viewer or grabbing the young fan. And now you're gonna do this. And what I thought was the most hypocritical and just stupid was so the the owners lock out the players right there 1st of December. So I understood that they weren't going to do anything until after the holidays. I get that. That was reported wild. They're not going to meet and all that. But
Right.
then you have Christmas, you have New Year's. That first Monday after the holidays, that's the day that everybody kind of gets back to work in life. All the offices, right? People are back. People are off vacation. It's time to kind of get back to work after the holidays. And the first day there was a report they're not meeting and nothing is scheduled. And I'm thinking you just took the whole month off for the holidays, which I get. Now it's time to hammer this out. This is like
Right.
January 3rd or 4th. This is about 6 weeks before pitchers and catchers report, which is usually around the middle of February. And you're still not talking. And I know baseball this week or last week, they threw out a proposal. I think I just read today that the players are going to respond. I don't think they're that close. And I would say, I think we're going to have a season. I don't know if it's 162. At this point, I mean, what day is it? I should know because my daughter's birthday. It's January
The
19th.
19th. Yeah.
So we're less than a month from pitchers and catchers reporting. And I don't think they're
Right.
close. So I
Right.
don't think spring training is going to start on time.
I mean, so here's what I'm thinking, like big picture. Like, what would it take as a league, as owners? You know what I mean? Sometimes I view all these people like literally as like the villains in their castle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they like pretend like it's for the people and the fans, but it's like behind closed doors, I just don't believe you. I think it's just bottom lines and dollars and cents. And because to your point, like, I mean, you're already struggling with building a new generation of baseball fans. And the game can be really slow. It can take forever. I mean, I'll go to anything live because it's always amazing. But you're not catching me on a Tuesday night, or you with where we are in life watching a 3.5 hour anything, let alone early season game in the middle. It's like it's just not going to happen. So their plan is just to kind of again be like, all right, fans, we're just going to take our time and battle out over the CBA and all this fancy talk. And it's like, can it be more clear that like it's not about fans? Like they just don't. They're not the number one thing. This is like
No.
this is a money situation. Period.
Which is funny or hilarious if you think about it, because the fans are your customers.
That's
I
it.
think they forget. So I think they look at it. We always say billionaires versus millionaires, but where does that money come from? It comes from human beings either going to the park to watch the games, buy tickets, buy concessions, or human beings watching you on TV, where
So you
you
can
get
sell ads. Yeah.
right ads and these ridiculous TV deals you're getting with the regional cable packages, with ESPN, with Turner, and all that. So I think they forget that even though it is all about the money, where does that money come from? That
Right.
comes from your fans, which here's another part. Not only, and this is my favorite sport, baseball is boring because there's less action than has ever been. It's all about striking out guys, home runs and walks. Walks are great if you're a hitter. You get paid. On base percentage is a great stat, but it's a super boring stat. Walks
Right.
are boring as hell. This is where
Especially when it's like a 15 pitch walk or
oh,
something. You're like, oh my God.
this is where I always say this. I think the national baseball fan can appreciate this. You and I both grew up with Yankees, Red Sox,
Yeah.
Jeter, and the Red Sox breaking the curse. And I'm telling you, you know this. Sunday Night Baseball, John Miller, Joe Morgan, the voices of baseball. But it seemed like every other week in the 2000s, it was Yankees, Red Sox, four
Mm-hmm.
and a half hour games. every single batter, when Theo Epstein took over the Red Sox and went all Moneyball, that was all about on base percentage, walks, seeing more pitches per plate appearance. Those were the most boring game. There were 4.5 hours. Everybody was seeing 9 pitches. That
Kevin
was your
Youkilis.
Kevin Youkilis, the Greek god of walks from
Uh-huh.
Moneyball. That was your signature property, Sunday Night Baseball. And it was Yankees Red Sox for 4.5 hours. That's our generation. That's what we grew up with. And by the way, we have much more patience than the younger generation that they can't pay attention for more than 2 seconds to anything.
Exactly. I mean, it's true. And that's when I lived in Boston the first time, because I lived there twice. That's when I would watch Nesson, the local network, Tuesday night, and I could watch a 4-hour game, no problem. Because I was like, this is amazing. And you could just go down to Lansdowne, even if you don't have tickets, just hang at the bars there while the game's going on. And I'm sure it's the same in St. Louis. And it's like, you're guaranteed an amazing time, So like, yeah, if the game was just on somewhere, that's something to do in those kinds of towns, period. Like, oh, good, there's a game on. You know what it's not a good time to do? Stand-up comedy, because that's where I was doing comedy. And if there's a game, I would look at the schedule, and if there's a game on and you had to perform somewhere, you're like, dude, nobody's coming. And it's almost weird if you do show up as an audience when the Reds, especially if there's an important anything going on with the Red Sox, the Bruins, Patriots. I'd be like, what is this crowd going to be? 7 people.
So you made me think of something that I've talked about with, I don't know if you know, so Greg Warren is a comedian who's from St. Louis, and he was a good wrestler. I think he wrestled at Mizzou even. So he's big into wrestling, and he's a comedian that, he's toured the last 20 years or so. And we have him on a radio show a couple times a year. And one time he had this great bit about if you're doing a comedy show during the winter and you watch the local news, and that's your weekend. You're in St. Louis, you're at the Funny Bone, whatever it is, Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. And then you watch the local news, and that's going to be Snowmageddon. And by the way, I worked in this business. Let me tell you something. Weather is where you make your money. If you're in weather, if the other stations are in weather, you better stay in severe weather. And there's almost a battle of the last station to stay in severe weather, even if there's only 2 inches of snow. And he used to tell me how he got so pissed if the weather guy said, "Oh, we're going to get 7 inches. People are going to the grocery store. They're getting their milk and their bread." And so your comedy show, everybody's assuming the weather is going to be really bad. And sure, every once in a while it is. But even the thought of that prevents, I'm guessing, people from coming out to your shows.
100%. 100%. I mean, and then there's seasonal stuff depending on where you go. Like summer can be real hit and miss in certain towns where it's like, oh, why is it slow? It's like, oh, it's summer. Everyone's out doing something. Basically, they're saying everybody's out doing something better than watching you. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Because the guy owns an ATV. So he can't be here at night. Like, come on.
Yeah, that to me, that's a weak excuse. You need to be more specific than just saying a season.
I think so.
Here, summer. Oh, of course,
Yeah.
summer. Yes. Okay. Summer.
Yeah. I'd like a little better rejection than just the general idea that like it's brighter out later.